Good evening, everyone. Thanks for watching us here on Northwest Access TV. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. This is our monthly For the Record St. Albans Today show. And again, thanks for joining us. Love your phone calls. 528-5315. 528-5315 is our number. And one programming note, this is, of course, the June show, Wednesday, June 5th. We've decided to take off next month. Sometimes we take one of the summer months off, and the next Wednesday, the first Wednesday in July, Wednesday, July 3rd, 4th of July Eve, sounded like a pretty good day to take off. So I hope we're not disappointing folks out there too much, but you will not see us here in July, but we'll be back on August 7th. Anyway, nice to have our, well, if not two regular guests, pretty regular. Certainly St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith and St. Albans Town Select Board Vice Chair Bruce Cheeseman. And I guess the chair of the board, Mr. Brendan D, so otherwise occupied at this point.
Yeah, he's on his honeymoon.
And good for him. Yeah. Congratulations to Brendan and his wife. So thanks for joining us, gentlemen. Boy, Tim, hard not to start out with TIF, tax increment financing. In the Messenger today, you probably saw Mike McCarthy, a real long letter.
I didn't see that, no.
Noting the state rep and city councilor, but boy, much in the news. Again, and I guess the headline, Doug Hoffer, of course, the state auditor. Sounds like TIF, tax increment financing, which has been a key to the revitalization of downtown St. Albans. Sounds like TIF programs are not the auditor's favorite programs. I love the headline on his, 101-page report on St. Albans. Unauthorized use of TIF district debt and understatement of tax increment. St. Albans owes TIF district and state education fund. I guess that's enough to make you realize he's not real high on it. I guess one question, again, this has gotten a lot of attention, I guess, in recent weeks. Is there enforcement? I mean, if Doug Hoffer's convinced the city did something wrong, can he do anything beyond issue a report on this? Is there some penalty that can happen if people think he's right about this?
No.
So just like an advisory opinion?
From my understanding, that is the case. That
really?
He can engage the state's attorney, but as far as Doug Hoffer goes, there's he cannot issue any penalties per se. As far as Doug Hoffer goes, I would extend your comment that Doug is not a fan of the TIF districts.
Yeah.
I would add that Doug Hoffer is not a fan of any economic development program.
And that's come up before. He's been critical of some other programs.
Critical of the what's called the veggie program, where if companies expand and create jobs, they receive a incentive for that. And he's been all over the job training program as well, which is utilized to train employees to bring them up to speed, or they could be a new employee, a cross-train, or an upgrade.
That's right. I realize you can't speak for him, obviously. He feels apparently this just tends to be money not well spent.
He would call it corporate welfare. He thinks that money is going to be spent anyway. I don't know that that's the case. I would not agree that that's the case. My opinion is at some point we need to support our businesses. I mean, the impact that multiple businesses have, or any business on the state's economy, I mean, is valuable, and to give them a little incentive, I don't see an issue with that.
Has the governor, Phil Scott, has he sparred with him at all about these reports?
Not that I'm aware of.
Really?
No.
You think somebody would ask him about this at his news conferences and stuff?
And we testified before the VEPSI board last week. Liz went down, myself, Chip Sawyer, and Dominic. And my comments to the board were, this has come down to a case of interpretation. I don't think, despite how Doug Hoffer words it, there is no clear-cut misappropriation or misdoings in any form or fashion.
And did he allege I mean, it kind of sounds like that from the headline. Did he allege misappropriation?
Not maybe misappropriation is not the right word, but he alleged that the city took steps to label the parking garage tax exempt, and he's saying they knew better and they should have labeled it as taxable.
Oh, really?
There's a few cases around the state. What I think comes down to is interpretation, and I look at it in the sense that you have VEPSI board agreeing
That's what
with
Vermont Economic Progress Council.
exactly, which is appointed by governors, and they represent pretty much every county in the state. The VEPSI board, legal counsel, and the city are pretty much all on the same page when it comes to interpretation. The one who is not is Doug Hoffer.
Really?
So I think Doug Hoffer has been known to grandstand a little bit, and I'm not so sure he's taken this opportunity to do the same. So.
Interesting. I know Milton ran into some criticism of its TIF. Was that another Doug Hoffer audit about that?
No, Flanagan was the auditor back then.
Oh, really? At Flanagan.
Interestingly enough, I was at Bob Johnson's funeral, and at the reception afterwards, I sat with Bob Ware. Ware's the last name, right? Who's now a town employee. And he said the same exact thing that we're encountering is that the auditor did not have a full understanding of the program.
Really?
Because Bob worked for Milton, and he drafted a lengthy letter, pretty much as Dominic has done, disagreeing with the auditor on a portion of their program as well.
Interesting. Has Dominic Cloud, the St. Albans city manager, obviously very closely involved in the TIF projects? Has he talked to Hoffer about this? Has he had
they've had multiple,
many conversations?
they've been around the table on many conversations.
I was telling Bruce off there, I suspect Doug's probably not on the city manager's Christmas card list at this point.
And vice versa. Yeah.
I'm sure vice versa. So again, this might be as far as it goes, just this audit.
Well, what's happened is to try to clarify I think the parking garage is the biggest issue.
Okay.
We were at VEPSI, and one of Auditor Hoffer's comment was that the city did too much to accommodate the hotel in terms of site work and whatnot. And there was a gentleman on the VEPSI board who is a developer and has done many projects, and he said, you just can't, it's not that cut and dry, and Bruce probably is aware of this, obviously, that if you're digging a hole, you can't say, okay, this portion of the dirt, which is contaminated, that goes to the TIF, and that portion of the dirt goes to the hotel. I mean, you're in there, you got to act on it. So that's, I think, and this gentleman said, it just doesn't work as cleanly as what the auditor had.
So the VEPSI board is totally supporting St. Albans on this? Or
VEPSI board has a retreat in July, and they will be addressing the 4 areas and then coming up with a decision. If I was a betting man, I would say that the support will be on the city side, significant, based on nodding of heads that we saw and the conversations that we had last Thursday. I think we'll find that the VEPSI board is in support of. And keep in mind that the city went to legal counsel for clearance. They went back to the VEPSI board on a number of different discussions.
So you don't feel at all that the city didn't give this the attention it should have?
No doubt. No, there's no doubt that it was flushed out repeatedly on many different fronts, and so probably the bigger piece of the thing is that Dominic has contracted with the city has contracted with 2 different appraisers to look at the parking garage and come up with a determination. Part of the issue with the parking garage is that what Hoffer is saying is if you allocate a number of parking spots and reserve those for businesses, it should be taxable. It's not open to the general public. And the city has done that for the state office building and for the hotel. But there's 2 aspects of that. There's still 100 parking spots that are open to the general public, and the state office building is a 8 to 5 scenario, so there's still all those parking spaces available in the evening, weekends, and all that. So that's the analysis that's being done, and we'll find out what they say.
Interesting.
So that's where it's at. As I said at the VEPSI meeting, I think this whole thing's been blown out of proportion because it's coming up on election year. Doug Hoffer is looking for some headlines, and obviously he and Dominic don't get along, so he's tweaking the headlines the best he can.
Have you talked to Doug Hoffer yourself about this?
No, I'm not a fan of Doug Hoffer either, so I'm not.
Interesting. So from your point of view, or maybe aside from your point of view, without the tax increment financing program, St. Albans would not have done some or all of
that. That's part of the argument that many legislators make is that all of this investment or a portion of this investment
could have been done anyway
would
without-
be done without the TIF did. And
You're not buying that for
I
a
would
second?
totally disagree. I mean, no one's coming in to do a parking garage. The hotel's not happening without the city's involvement. You know, some of the facades and the grants that the city's done downtown. Yeah, it's very little would happen if you look at the new building the renovated building on Lake Street, which has the beautiful white brick, and I think everyone to a person would tell you they think it looks great. That part of that was a facade grant that the city had that they awarded the developer to do that. So there's been letters in the messenger, or a letter. The individual seems to know more about it than anyone else, and I would argue that there are no answers to date because VEPC board is meeting in July and the analysis. So for people to say that we will be we'll be paying funds, that's definitely not been determined at this point.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Bruce, I guess some of the big news in the town, Public Works garage, new PW garage construction underway.
Yes, it is. It is. Unfortunately, I missed the groundbreaking ceremony.
Which was just a week or two ago.
Yeah, things are underway, and it should be, we should be, a lot of business going on down there.
Yeah.
We want to get in there as quickly as possible.
And again, time frame on the project?
We're going to be looking at least a year, pretty close to a year before we, are through with the punch list and actually start moving in.
Yeah. And I guess there was a salt shed issue, but that was resolved?
All resolved. We're all set. We're ready to go. We're building.
Resolved to the positive.
Resolved to the positive.
And again, the issue there was the salt shed had come in, way over budget?
But again, we had people, it was just a misunderstanding in some of the funds. It wasn't really way over budget, to be honest with you. But it's underway right now, and we're getting a good, hopefully we'll have a good product for our money.
And that begs the question, obviously, it's going to be a year or so before the transfer out there. But will the future, what's going to happen with the current site on St. Albans Bay, will that be getting some attention this year or not so much this year?
Not so much this year, probably next year.
Yeah.
And there's, I personally would like to see the property go to Fish and Game.
Yeah.
And open another boat access down there that we desperately need because the new marina doesn't have one.
And of course, you see the trailers backed up out on
really
Cowperthwait Point Road, not infrequently.
Yep.
So you'd love to see a new access.
Certainly would.
Have you talked to the state about that at this point?
We haven't. We've tossed around a few things amongst the board and really haven't come to a decision on anything right now.
That's a nice thought. With the town, would you get anything out of that?
What we would get out of it is we would offer a service to the public.
Just
for nothing,
a lot more business kind of down in the Bay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And again, speaking of the Bay, where, of course, your municipal building is, the town hall, will that be kind of the top issue this year to figure out what you're doing about that?
That's number one on our list this year. Yeah.
Where does that stand right now? You had a potential site at one point?
Yeah, we had a potential site, but we're not positive that we're going to go. Actually, the site was over on, I believe it was 104, Sam Smith's property. Right. But there are other sites out there that we want to take a look at before we make a decision.
And say I'm sure we've talked about this before, the current town hall, is it possible to you to keep using that, or does that just not seem like a real realistic option?
There's a couple of, it's a nice old building, and it kind of belongs down there, but it isn't ADA approved. It's not handicap accessible. We don't have any land. The building's on a postage stamp.
Full vault space, is that another
vault space
issue?
is going to be an issue real soon, and it would cost us as much money to bring that building up to code as it would to build a new one. We've already done a survey on that, and that was the outcome of it. It's $1.5 million to bring it up to code, make it accessible, and we could build a new one for that price.
So it sounds like that doesn't sound real realistic.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. And So we are looking for land right now.
Yeah, interesting. Is this the Sam Smith site? Is that still a possibility? Or?
Still a possibility. It hasn't been taken off the. It hasn't been taken off the table completely.
Is there a part of the town that makes more sense to you? Or are you open to any particular?
What makes more
place?
sense to me is to put it on the north end of town.
Yeah, north end of town.
Yeah, because it's developed over here. You know,
Yeah.
we have a bigger need for it over here
Yeah.
than we do on the south end of town.
Yeah. No,
My opinion.
right. Any thought to putting it on Brigham Road next to the Public Works garage?
No, we've got a couple of deals going in the makings right now
Yeah.
for possibly selling the rest of that property off
Oh, yeah.
to an investor.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned.
And I just think it being over there would be way out of the way. It's not convenient for anybody.
Yeah.
It's convenient for a public works department, but
Yeah.
certainly not for a town hall.
Right.
Not in my opinion.
Right. Tim, I just got the news. This is interesting to me that apparently city PD or the city's got the contract for patrol coverage in Highgate for the coming fiscal year, I guess starting July 1.
We'll be signing off on that Monday night.
Interesting. So one year contract?
1 year.
Of course, made me think of course, the Sheriff's Department, I guess, has had a contract there for a while. I'm hearing that Highgate was very unhappy, I guess, presumably with the...
That's what I had heard as well.
But of course, we have a new sheriff who's certainly, I think, reasonably close to Police Chief Gary Taylor, Roger Langevin, the new sheriff. That I assume wasn't great news for Roger, or you got any?
No, I would expect not.
Yeah.
You know, we're involved with it, but I guess I would. If I'm Roger, I'm disappointed that he didn't get a fair shot with the new contract. Well, you know, being a new.
Right.
I think you know, if you give him a little more time,
Yeah.
I think that would have been.
And again, I guess
beneficial.
it's a 1 year contract, so it looks like they'll take another look at it
Yeah.
year down the road. Any concern that that's spreading city PD out?
Yeah, we've had that
Little
discussion.
thin?
We've had that
And I'm hearing
discussion.
city PD is not fully staffed now, I don't believe.
No, we're
You are fully
we're
staffed?
pretty close if we're not.
No, really?
I don't know what the recent numbers are, maybe, but as a
But that's come up, I'm sure.
yeah, no, I mean Highgate 60 square miles.
Yeah.
I mean, I expressed some concerns about
Huh.
you know, if this you know, what are the impacts? I don't think we know, but
But the chief's comfortable with
if
moving
it's
into Highgate?
comfortable, no.
And obviously, I mean, part-time, obviously you're not there, obviously 24 hours a day.
No, it's 24 hours a week.
24 hours a week, in fact.
Which, you know, my question was, and I'm not saying this is all that happens in Highgate, but
Yeah.
do we want to be signing those contracts and chasing four-wheelers around?
Which has been which
Which is
sounds like one of the
big
reasons.
topics in Highgate. So I think that's why we're looking at a 1 year scenario. You know, where when the 24 hours end, from my understanding, the state police kick in.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
How many days a week is that, or does that change?
I don't know what the actual breakdown is.
But 24 hours a week.
And I don't know what the hours are. You know, so
Huh.
yeah. So we had the discussion, and I would say there was a lot of questions. But
Yeah. Has the PD seems like, did you go after Fairfax before? Is that not the first time you've gone trying to get a contract?
I'm
down
not
at
aware
St.
of
Albans?
Fairfax.
Not aware of Fairfax.
Since I've been on
Yeah.
the board.
Any other town? Have you gone city PD? You know, try to get coverage in any other towns outside St.
No, I
Albans?
don't. I think there's discussions, but I don't know that
Yeah.
and I don't. And even in this case, we didn't go looking.
Yeah.
It was Highgate that
Oh, was that
reached
they came
out.
to you?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it
I
sounds
think
like.
those are where the other discussion. I don't think, and I'm not behind the scenes, but I don't think we have engaged or initiated the discussion. It's always been the town that has
Yeah.
reached out. So, and there have been over the years other conversations, but
Yeah.
nothing. I think they're very preliminary. So.
Bruce, any concern on the part of the town? I think you folks have said that you feel the city PD contract's gone pretty well in the town. Is that any concern to you?
It's gone well,
Yeah.
but we do have a concern as to how many more contracts the city PD could take on
Yeah.
and still maintain the coverage that they're contracted for with us.
Right.
Because our contract with them is a large one.
I bet.
I mean, it's upwards of $800,000 a year now. And the thing that concerns me is that the city police department hasn't been at full strength.
Oh, there's been, right.
And they've been up and down, but they're suffering the same thing as all the other police departments are right now.
Yeah.
So in order for, I would think, and Chief Taylor knows this better than anybody else, in order to take on contracts and maintain them the way he should, he's got to have 100%, he's got to have all his feet on the ground over there.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that does concern us.
Yeah.
Because he offers, it's a good department. We've been really happy with the work that they've done in the past, but just don't overload yourself.
Yeah.
A little bit of caution there.
And I would say, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I know there's been a lot of success in recruiting officers because of some of the benefit package that's been designed, mainly focused on healthcare. And I know that Chief Taylor is having some discussions with other police departments that they have ended up recruiting from.
Yeah.
That they're not happy with the loss of some.
So again, as in some other departments getting some St. Albans police officers, or
vice versa. St. Albans police getting
because they used to be in that other category.
They've pulled a couple from Swanton, or excuse me, not Swanton, but Burlington.
Okay.
They've pulled from, I think, Chittenden Sheriff's Department. So, but I mean,
okay, I got you.
I don't know why that's Chief Taylor's issue. I mean, if he's got a position, people want to apply for it.
Yeah.
Just because he's more creative in how he structures a package.
And it used to be just the opposite when you were typically losing some officers to other.
And when we still have, I mean,
departments.
we lost some to the Sheriff's Department, and obviously Ron Hogue went to Essex and whatnot. So it's, it's a constant battle, probably two-way street. So
Yeah.
He is pretty creative, and he and I had a discussion about, he's offering a sign-up bonus right now.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And it's commonly known that it's easier to retain people, cheaper to retain than it is to recruit.
Yeah.
And he might want to take a look at some sort of retention package instead of just recruiting, because, like I said, it's easier and cheaper to retain people than it is to recruit them. Especially, in talking with him, one of the problems he has is getting candidates through the police academy.
Yeah.
I mean, that place has been packed lately.
Yeah.
And even if you have the people that want to go through the training, you got to have the openings at the academy.
Is that right? So that's been an issue, huh?
It has.
Interesting.
State police take first priority.
Yeah. Aren't state, geez, I think I'm hearing the St. Albans barracks for state police, they're way down. Whatever I heard for officers seems like it was way under what there used to be.
Attention to them.
But Tim, you can obviously, with your day job, Franklin County Industrial Development Corp., you can appreciate the labor issue more than probably just about anybody else around here.
That's all we hear about.
Right.
Just to go back to the state police for a second, we were, and I can't remember who I had the conversation with, but do you remember the days when the state police had a height requirement?
Boy, I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
Is that gone?
I think it was like
Long gone?
6 foot or 6'1" you had
really?
to be.
Boy, I don't remember that. Is that before women, or they had obviously a lower figure for women if they had women then, or maybe we're back before women?
Maybe before there were women troopers.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a height requirement for.
Well, take a look at the population right now. How many 6-footers and above do you see? That's kind of limiting your.
And for that matter, what about didn't state police have mandatory? Maybe they still do mandatory retirement 55, or am I dreaming that?
No, that's correct, because I think
is that still the case?
Well,
You think they might be thinking about hiking that up to 60 or something, maybe. But that's
I think there's a couple have not taken advantage, but have been forced out because
really. Does city police have any such requirement?
That I'm aware of.
Yeah. So interesting. How are we doing with the downtown, the big downtown project across from City Hall? New building there, the police moving to CCV. Is that getting close to?
Yeah, the apartment house across from the library is empty.
It is empty, right? And that'll be knocked down.
Yeah, the
library.
The Main Street ones will be knocked down this supposedly by the end of the month.
Really?
Starting. Huh. I'm not sure what the time frame is on the Maiden Lane one, but those are the next ones in line to move forward. So.
And new construction again starting Starting over the
fall.
summer or fall, maybe?
Yeah, but late summer, fall.
Yeah.
So it should be, I think they were talking for the Main Street block, occupying it would be September 2020, and that might be pushing it a little
Right.
bit. So fall of 2020 is probably a safer bet.
And again, CCV, of course, will be moving from their South Main Street headquarters to new building, Northwestern Medical Center, getting some of that space also,
And retail.
and some retail. How's retail still pretty tough business for a lot of folks?
For sure. I think it's definitely tough business.
Yeah.
I try to reinforce this any chance I get, and that is, people want a vibrant downtown. If that's the case, you need to get out and shop.
Yeah.
And I get the internet piece of it, but sometimes you gotta pass on that and go downtown and spend a few dollars and go out to eat and just to make it vibrant. Go to a movie, make it vibrant, because that's made all the difference. When people visit town, they love the downtown and the services that are provided. But there's not. It's more service oriented than it is retail oriented.
Yeah.
And maybe that's but I think of as a crow flies. I think a lot of people when they get married do a bridal registry and they go to Bed Bath and Beyond. It doesn't hurt to do a bridal registry at As a Crow Flies or Bayberry Cottage or any one of those and support the local. You can still do the Bed Bath and Beyond, but why not do some of those? So I think that's a message we need to get out. We need to encourage people to support the downtown businesses. So.
Yeah. Downtown, how do you feel downtown's faring right now? How healthy do you think downtown is? It's a struggle for some folks.
Well, a struggle
I'm sure.
mainly because of the weather.
Yeah,
if you look at
tough spring.
it doesn't. I don't think the weather has been conducive to drawing people outside. Twigs that probably have only set up their tables
Really
half a dozen times.
tough spring. Sounds like finally, if you're watching us live, it sounds like, if you can believe the forecast, sounds like finally we're heading into a good summery kind of weekend.
I tell people I coach girls softball, and we've had 14 games, and I've had a sort of a midline winter jacket on every game. May has been terrible.
I got in my first 9 holes at Champlain with my good friends the Nighthawk, who will be on the sports show later, and Joe Whittemore, and I was just wearing some sneakers soaked after the first hole, totally soaked.
And the
it's been
lake
a
is
tough
high.
spring.
People aren't quick to move. I ran into folks today that said, well, I'm in no rush to move to the lake.
Yeah.
The water's too high, and
Still a high
the
level.
temperature is 55 degrees in the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and take a look at the new marina. I think there's only half a dozen boats
Yeah,
in
and
there.
if people
right
put the boats in, it's going to be it's got the makings for a short summer.
Yeah. Hopefully the dock will reemerge at some point. Although I'd kill for a high light. I'd kill for like a 97. I guess we want to get it down to 98 because the dock's at about 98. But I'd kill for relatively high water. But it's certainly been, just now, I guess, dipping below flood stage for the first time in over a month.
Yeah, we've got a lot of activities planned down there this summer. I'm hoping that the weather turns soon.
Of course, you have your farmers market on Wednesdays again down there.
Farmers market is today from 4:30 to 7.
In fact, as we speak, it's still going on.
And we also have, tonight we have a 5K race that's sponsored by Rise Vermont in the town.
And that's think about it. You have a car show down there this Saturday.
Yeah, we have a car show this
9
weekend.
to 2, I believe, right?
From 9 to 4, 9 to 2,
9 to
rather.
2.
And
this Saturday.
Saturday we've got Bay Day on July 6th.
Yeah.
We got the Music Festival on July 27th.
Is that, I caught one last, is that the second one that is kind of similar to one they did last year down there?
I believe
Sounds
so,
like
yes.
it. Yeah, I caught it. It was
Sponsored
nice.
by 14 Star.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Music Fest, we've got the 5K race again, of course, tonight. And then there's the Flower. They call it festival.
Sunflower Festival.
Sunflower Festival. It's in August.
Oh, yeah.
Sponsored by the city in town.
So a bunch of stuff.
So yeah, we've got something going on down there. Almost something every month actually, a major type thing. And it's.
Sorry, Bruce.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you bring that up. One thing I did, and I'm not sure the timing of it, but I did a list of summer activities that's going to be going in the water bills when they get mailed out. So it's
Oh, is that right?
an
Okay.
overview of the activities, and it's not just limited to the city. It includes all those events that Bruce had. Timing may not be right, and maybe water bills may come out after the fact, but that's something
Yeah.
I want to get into regular and reminding people about what local activities there are.
Yeah, good idea.
And
When Taylor Park concerts, they'll be starting.
to the 18th,
It is so pretty soon.
pretty soon.
And of course, farmers market's been going on Saturdays on the park for a few weeks.
Yep. But my philosophy with sending that notice out isn't, there's no sense in me just putting city activities.
Yeah, that's great.
It's that we're one community and
Yeah.
share both of them and get, those events that Bruce listed aren't going to attract just town people.
Yeah.
No.
Or in the events we do aren't going to attract just city people. So let's start publicizing them together and get the word out. As far as the Sunflower Festival, that's that was an idea of Scott Magnan, who does a lot of planting and harvesting for farmers and whatnot. But he's in the town industrial park. We'll be having it's wet. He was unable to get on one field, so. This is going to be a trying test to the festival because we need to get the seeds in but
Pretty unique idea too. That's a good one. I'm not going to miss that one.
yeah, no, I think it's going to be a big success if the weather holds. So basically, we're looking at 20 acres of sunflowers in the
Really?
industrial park that
Love
we will have.
sunflowers.
The town is going to be bringing picnic tables up and scattering them around and. We have music scheduled for 2 nights, so August 2nd and 3rd, Friday and Saturday. So there'll be music down there, so people can come and just bring a picnic and hang out. $3 to get in to help offset the cost of seed and harvest or planting. And then there'll be a few things in the city. We're going to collaborate with the restaurants with their entertainment and just sort of include them. As part of the weekend, give them a little extra publicity, whether it's Bayside or Twigs or Mill River Brewery. We'll pitch those activities. There'll be some things in the city, and then there's also a 5K which will start and end in the industrial park. We're trying to keep it very limited capital investment, so not a lot of people to pull it off. A lot of static stuff. But there will be a 5K, and it's a 5K fun run, and for those winning divisions, we'll hand them bouquets of sunflowers.
Very cool.
And actually tonight, depending when I get out of here, I'm going to get some seeds up in Taylor Park around the monument and on Main Street where we have the stormwater basins. We're going to try
Oh, good.
to put
Do
some
something,
seeds,
make some use out of those guys.
See if we can.
Right.
The concern is they're awful wet, and sunflowers like more dry. But we'll try it and see where we'll learn a lot from this year. But I think it's, to Bruce's point, I think it's going to be a fun event.
Yeah. Some construction going on at Hardack too. Are they putting up? I don't know what they're calling it, but are you familiar with that? It seems like they had maybe a kind of a false start to a building on Hardack, and I think there's construction this summer. Tim, does that mean anything to you?
Did you see construction up there?
I haven't seen it, but I've talked to Jim. I think Jim Cameron's involved, and I talked to Jim about it maybe a month or two ago.
They had some plans that had to be scaled back, and they were very ambitious, so they scaled them back, and Jim played a big role in that. They do have funders who are willing to contribute.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the timeline is.
Oh yeah.
I would, the other piece, a very similar project, not similar. This is a little smaller, but the football association has torn down the old snack bar up at the complex.
Oh really?
On the football field,
Oh.
and we have a project that consists of a $250,000 investment.
Really?
Of which the football association has. Will be and have invested about $50,000.
Wow.
Maple Run is investing some $90,000, and then the rest will be in kind donations.
And again, this is for a new snack bar.
It's more than that.
More than that.
Yeah, so it's I think we're 30 36 by 40 or 38 by 40. Basically, it'll have 2 gang bathrooms, men and women, four bathrooms in each, running water and toilets, obviously, or sewer, water and sewer. Have a handicap bathroom that'll be off to the side, and then the snack bar will be there as well. So this was brought about from years of people having to use a portalette at football games or soccer games, and even now they're doing lacrosse games under the lights. Or people have had to walk all the way to the complex to use the facilities, and it has discouraged.
That's a drag.
You know, it is. It discourages
Quite a walk.
grandparents from coming to watch a game. So this facility, we can leave, if the complex chooses, they can leave the handicap bathroom open during the day. So as people use a walking path, it's right there. They don't have to plan their trip all the way back to the complex.
That's good.
And this would not, you know, like I said, there's a lot of in-kind donations, sticks and stuff. We wouldn't even be close to where we are now. The foundation's in place. We're getting ready to lay block here, concrete block on the building in the next couple weeks. But it wouldn't even be close. I mean, companies that have contributed already are Harrison Concrete, Corey Laughlin, Concrete Work. And we would not even be close to this point without Connor Contracting. Mike Connor, huge contribution. You know, you think you put up a building, and Bruce, you know what it takes, and you know, people question, how can a building like that cost you $250,000? Well, Mike has broken it all down and got the estimates, and it's all, you know, once you look at that paper, you understand why it takes, you know, plumbing fixtures, you know, painting. I mean, the demolition of the old building. There's just a lot that adds up. So that's what I'm connected with that because I'm on the board, and we're leading.
That sounds like a great project.
It's going to be a great addition to the complex and to the walking path, and I think the one on Hardak, I think that's moving forward, but I don't know the timeline. For
Speaking of the complex, should know my old radio boss, Mr. David Kimmel.
I
guess is stepping down after many years as manager out there.
And Dave's done a wonderful job.
With his number 2 guy, Mr. Tim Viens, I guess will be the head honcho.
Yep. Dave's done a wonderful job over the years. I think he's really he really has upgraded the facility in a variety of ways, and it's just a class facility right now. So, yeah, I'm not sure what is in Dave's plans, but he'll be missed.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm on the EPI committee for Hardak, and it does look like they're going to start the Brown Lodge.
So the Brown Lodge. Okay.
Yeah, the Brown Lodge is
searching for the word.
Be the first building that they put up there. And, I'm almost positive that construction is going to start there pretty soon.
Yeah. So again, the project was scaled down.
The lodge itself was scaled down quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants the best, but like we just got done talking about, you really don't realize these days what it costs to build a building. And it's astronomical. But they scaled it down. They got something that they figure is affordable. And they have a donator already, Jackie Brown, donated quite a few dollars to get it going.
Oh, that's great.
And looks like it's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
They're hoping to have it ready for ski season.
Good. Tim, any talk? There's been occasional loose talk about a second hockey rink skating arena at Hardak.
That's sort of the same committee that Bruce is on. Bruce and I haven't.
Does that still come up once in a while?
It's come up. It's a pretty good topic of discussion. They did form a committee, but right now we're at a bit of a stalemate right now on design and funding.
We're talking. I can only assume a few mil for such a thing, or
it's quite a few $1 million. It's over. It would be right now. They're talking about. We started off thinking about putting it at Hardak, and then an idea that came up, which I think is very appropriate, is to put it over at Collins Pearly. Have a second rink. I think it's the place for it. To tell you the truth. So right now they've kind of shifted a little bit, and we're talking about we're trying figure out what the we know what the advantages are, but what the cost would be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things in the mill right now, but they're all pending funds. I mean, that's
And that's what I was going to share is that if you look at what's going on with this snack bar, I mean, we've already received $50,000 in in-kind contributions.
Really, that's impressive.
Substantial contribution by Jackie Brown. You've got 2 playgrounds going in locally. You have a large one in $200,000 going in Swanton.
Right.
With
And
Debbie
I'm told
Winters.
they've reached their fundraising
They
goal.
did
up
reach their
there.
goal on that. And then
Right.
you've got Bridget and Valdemar Garibay are sort of leading the charge on the one up at the complex. And I think that was 150 as well, or maybe 200. I'm not sure of the total. But once again,
Significant bucks.
significant. And the community, this community has always given. And I don't think I think some people lose track of that. You know,
Sure.
the Bay Park was a trade. Holton Park was a trust. The city and town came together on Little League. Hardack was, Aldous Hill was donated.
Right.
Hardack, your forest was donated. Cohen
Right.
Park. The list goes on. And you know, if you pull everything out of the works that's been donated, and we don't have much recreation space. You know,
Well, you mentioned-
Collins Pearly Complex. I mean, there's
That was it's incredible. And I'm a tennis player. You can be sure in the many months up here when one's not playing tennis outside, pretty nice to have 4 indoor tennis courts in St. Albans. Thank you very much.
You mentioned it, Tim. I mean, hats off to Debbie Winters. I mean, she's
Great job.
great job. $280,000.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think they were probably at around 80% right now. Last I heard, and that was.
Last I heard was I think they've reached it.
She reached 200,000.
Did she?
Yeah, they've
great.
reached 200,000.
I'm doing the same thing in Milton right now. I'm trying to raise
really?
109
Oh, really?
For a playground?
for a playground.
What school?
At the elementary school on Herrick Avenue.
Herrick Avenue.
It's a large school. It's the largest elementary middle school in the state of Vermont.
Really?
It's 162,000 square feet.
Wow.
And they have 1,300 kids in that school.
Really?
Really? Sounds like BFA in the old days.
Old days, yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I know that school. Yeah, I'm in Milton a couple days a week.
But you know, the interesting thing you talk about Debbie's project. I mean, that's something that has crossed boundaries. I mean, Peerless has donated to it. I know. You know, I know other entities in St. Albans City and Town have donated to it. You know, so it's always it's you know, we're one big community in the county, and I think efforts like that really showcase it.
Well, the amazing part of it is, as busy as that couple are, you know, Debbie and her husband. And by the way, he's going to donate to my project in Milton.
Oh, is that right?
Really? That's nice.
Well, and he's got, you know, Gordon has the Ace Hardware
He does
store
have the
in
hardware
Milton.
store in Milton.
Very
right?
successful hardware store in Milton. Very successful.
Interesting.
Actually, not to downplay the success of the Ace Hardware store, but my favorite stop in Milton is Madeline's Bakery,
Oh, yeah.
which
Which is right
next door to
near
the Ace
there.
Hardware.
Yeah, I know.
I just
right
was
where
in
it
there
is.
today ordering
Were you?
up some cookies. Yeah, I think that's a great bakery.
So, well, speaking of Milton, I might have mentioned this to you. I mentioned this to the good folks in Swanton. I tend to hit Rick's Grill, which I assume, Bruce, you know. In
I
Milton.
do. I've been there.
About once a month, they've got a great deal on Mondays. Very good hamburger fries for $6. Hard to complain about
Where's that one?
Rick's Grill.
Rick's
It's right
Grill.
near, not far
It's
from the municipal building.
Actually, what's the name of the drugstore?
Bombardier?
Kenny's Drug?
Yeah.
It's behind
Right.
it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I
Pretty good.
recommend it. But
If you like comfort food, it's
It's decent.
Pretty good.
Reasonable prices, a lot of food. But I mentioned to Rick with Swanton, always trying to find a restaurant or another restaurant. Mentioned it to him some months ago. And I don't know him, but I talked to him a little bit. And he looked at me like I was just totally crazy, maybe understandable. He said, you know how long I've been in this business? Whatever, 35 years I do catering. You think I want to open another restaurant? I said, I understand, Rick. All I'm saying, I know nothing about the business, but I think people would kill for this restaurant in Swanton. But anyway,
And I
not going to
haven't
happen.
been. You had the one move to Bronson's Landing.
They transferred
That's a
from
Milton.
right?
Yeah, well,
I haven't been in yet.
I want to put in a plug for those people because they are the Bronsons, okay? And they were in Milton. And I was looking for donations to put up a new press box at the high school.
Huh.
And the Bronson family donated $149,000
Kidding me.
for my press box. I've got the state-of-the-art press box
Really?
with a snack bar under it, with everything you can think of in it.
Wow.
And it came through raffle tickets.
Yeah, the poll tickets.
The poll tickets between the Bronsons and the boosters. Together, they donated right around $150,000 to the school, and that thing is absolutely beautiful.
Bruce, what should we talk about Milton? What's your job with the Milton School District?
No, I'm the facilities director for the school district.
For the school district.
I also work with the town.
All right, big job. Sure you get along.
Good job. I enjoy it.
Don Turner, of course, the
a lot of nice people.
Town manager. Boy, Don doesn't have too many hats he's wearing.
Don's a great guy.
I know Don a little bit. Good
He's
guy.
a can-do guy, and let's get it done, and we can do this. And he's a good guy to work with.
Tim, obviously know.
I know Don Turner.
No, I agree. Good guy.
I work with
I
Don
like Don a lot.
almost on a daily basis.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He's a good guy.
Does Milton have a village-town scenario?
No, not anymore.
All town.
All town.
Right, Milton. Boy, aren't we talking a top 10 town in the state population-wise? I think Milton is top 10.
We just had, what is a popular? I just had that conversation.
12, 13,
12
something
or
like
13, yeah.
So it's more than, almost more than city
Yeah.
and town combined.
that?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of folks.
I'm really amazed with their industrial park. I mean, I don't think that they've got a lot left in there.
But I heard Frank Coffey was holding on to 2.
Two.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
is that right?
They've done really well
Oh
there.
yeah, that whole.
Bo's one of the most recent folks who jumped in there.
Actually, it was the most recent one was a distribution center for a trucking company.
Really?
Dominion? Old Dominion.
Oh, yeah.
Old Dominion.
And I don't know where that divider line is between the Catamount Park and there's another park, right? And
Oh, is that right? Is there a second
there's
park?
2 parks there that they don't all fall under Catamount.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And you're right. I don't know. I think I don't think Villani's is in the Catamount Park.
Because you just had Nut-Free Chocolate move their operation from the islands to
Oh, really?
to what used to be the furniture store or whatever it was.
And across the street, look what the Charlie Boys have done.
Charlie Boys.
I mean,
Yeah.
they just put up another
Right.
big building. They're going to start selling truck parts.
That's right near the Milton Colchester? Is that all Milton there?
Milton, yeah.
Okay. Not far from the Colchester line.
Does Charlie Boys own Premier Coach?
Yes.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great development.
That's a very large operation right there.
The one I love is a building that has the hummingbirds painted on it.
Yeah.
That's,
that's
I think
cool.
that's
The Artist Guild did that.
Oh,
In
really?
Milton.
That's
I think
a pretty active group, in fact.
They're very active. I mean, they're after me right now. They want to put something on the high school,
Oh, really?
but I cautioned them that, it's brick. So there's certain things you can do and certain things you shouldn't do.
Bricks, a little tough to deal
Yeah.
with.
So right now, what they want to do is they want to put up they're 8-foot by 20-foot panels that they're going to put on posts in the ground in front of the high school. So we're working on something with them right now.
Interesting. Water, wastewater, one of our favorite subjects. Any talks or any?
Nothing lately.
Nothing lately. No.
I was wondering if we were ever going to come back to St. Albans, city and town.
Oh yeah.
Talked about Swanton,
Hate to not
Milton,
throw
I mean.
that out. So nothing lately. You're open to at least sitting down and talking
I'm
some
open
more?
to sitting down. I still think that it can happen. I really do.
And I would say that, I mean, we haven't had our combined meeting yet because we got postponed because of Bob's death. But I think we're looking at June 20th, I think.
I think that came up at our last meeting, yeah.
13th.
So that should happen in not too distant future.
The combined meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. It's just we were delayed because of...
Will you have a specific agenda for that, or just kind of an open discussion about whatever folks want to talk about, or?
We don't have one drafted yet.
No.
I'm sure we'll have some type of structure to it, but I think we want to start out with just some social time, some discussions from that perspective, and then put some structure to it.
I don't think it's ever, I can't ever remember it being done before. And I think it's a great idea.
I think I have a memory of once in a while some joint meetings, but not for quite a while. I
I think there's 1 or 2.
Ease our way into it, though. I think that the water and sewer, I know it could happen. I mean, we just got to sit down and iron out a few things. I think it's definitely advantage to both communities.
Tim, find a solo site. Anything going on?
Yeah, there's a couple discussions for potential business. The city has developed a master plan for the site, which would encompass three businesses if they all lay out accordingly. But
Is there a lot of brownfields work that still needs to be done there?
still, you either cap the foundation with concrete or you remove it. So
one of the two.
those are the things that need to be addressed.
And City Fire Department, its current digs, of course, PD will be moving down to South Main Street. Again, I believe you'd love to find a new spot for City Fire Department at some point.
At some point, probably.
Not a kind of a front burner issue right now.
Yeah, we did our goals and strategies back in November, and their meeting on Monday, we're going to have a discussion about where they sit and updating both the goals and the strategies. So, but that, to tell you the truth, that wasn't even on the discussion back in November.
Yeah.
The big topics for us are, crosswalks continue to be an issue.
What about are trucks still going down? What, Upper Weldon?
Upper Weldon, they started to ticket them. I mean, where they were being somewhat lenient there for a while.
So ticket them for being on the street?
Yeah, load limits. They're exceeding load limits, so they've been ticketed.
I don't even like to drive on that road. No offense to the good folks on Upper Weldon, but it's not a fun road to take a car on.
No, it was funny. I was coming home from a softball game, and one drove by me, so I was going to follow him, see where he ended up, and just educate him that, because we're finding that GPS is probably the one that's directing him there. So I followed him down to the bottom of Upper Weldon, and coming up was a police officer, and I was going. So the truck turned, police officer turned, I turned. Blue lights went on. I said, well, I guess there's not much I can do here. So I continued on my way, and he ended up getting ticketed for it.
Really?
So the GPS thing is just reaching out, trying to, that's like pulling teeth, is trying to get the things changed. We had a sign up, the solar illuminated sign that you see on the highway. No trucks, but the church was more than patient. It was there for 6-8 months. I don't know how long, and they asked for it to be removed. So we have on our list to generate a conversation with D-Trans and leadership to try to maybe get some signage back over by the the lights on the interstate access, and try to educate truckers at that point before they make the turn. So,
Bruce, the rec path that was, of course, voted on once from SATEC out to Collins Pearly, is that project alive in some form at this point?
Sure is. It's number 2 on our priority list.
Number 2.
Yeah.
After the municipal building.
That's correct. Yeah. And we're making some leeway there. There's a little bit of movement. And of course, B-Trans, we've been in touch with them. It isn't at a stalemate by any means.
It's not at a stalemate,
no, by no means at all. And we should be hearing something. We should be seeing some movement in that relatively soon.
Yeah. What else is on you, or what are your next priorities?
Oh, we got a whole bunch of paving going on this year.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
3.5 miles. Pike Industry. Pike got the contract for paving this year. Upwards of $350,000, and that where there's no grant money involved in that one. That's all town money.
Really? And where's that going to be?
We're going to pave 1.5 on the Industrial Park Road. We're paving 2.4 on Benoit Road, 0.78 on Button Road, 0.92 on Nason, 0.24 on High Street, and 0.07 on Corey Court.
Oh, interesting. Tim, some more sidewalks work in the city this summer?
Sidewalks being done on Diamond, and they were done on, curbing's being done on Diamond and Weldon now. Yeah. Sidewalks were done on Weldon. We adjusted that schedule a little bit and put those in last fall because they were so bad, but now the curbs are coming through. Yeah. Paving, I just had an inquiry from a resident up at Warner Home relative to paving on High Street. So we're doing High, and I guess we'll probably connect to where Bruce is talking.
Oh, yeah.
So all of High Street will be done.
Oh, yeah.
Another, Pearl would be done. There's a number of streets that
Yeah.
I think our investment is about 285,000. Don't
Yeah,
hold me to that,
something
but
like that.
significant amount. So,
Any more
and
street?
then the other one would be Lemonade Drive. Lemonade Drive is
Okay.
probably the worst of any street. So,
Okay. Any more streetscape? There was some talk about maybe Kingman Street getting some attention.
okay, Kingman and Federal, but those probably won't happen until 2020. They're
Yeah.
still working through the design piece of it. I'm excited to see Federal Street done.
Yeah.
Federal Street will have a sidewalk the whole length of the
Oh,
west
really?
side,
Wow.
all the way
Okay.
down to Newton. So yeah, that's going to make and there'll be a little green belt between the sidewalk and the road. So I think that's going to be huge. We just had Dave Southwick received a grant where we had 150 trees that were for free for the giving. And
Really?
they were handed out on last Saturday.
Yeah, that's great. What size? You just-
So we had red. From what I remember, there was red oak, red maple, a surface berry, which I'm not totally sure what that is. There was a cedar of some sort, and there was one other, and they were probably about the thickness of your finger, but probably. There were some 6-7 foot
Oh, really?
high, and then there were some other bushy ones that were
Yeah.
3 or 4 feet high. So
That's great. And they'll
So-
be spread around or
yeah, people had the option if they want to put them in the green belt. The city will
Yeah, really?
assist in planting those if that's what they want, assuming that's what works for the infrastructure with the wiring and whatnot. But I just saw 2 planted on the front lawn of the house coming up Newton, right next to the old Fonda site.
Oh yeah.
It was Paul Chabot's old
yeah.
house. So there's 2 right there planted. But 150 trees
That's
in
great.
the community
Love trees. Love to see trees
Oh.
being planted.
and that's one of my pushes as well. I see so many opportunities and we worked with Green Mountain Power to sort of try to work with their tree company that's trimming the trees and not to have such a negative impact on the streetscape. So
Bruce, congrats. Again, disappointed to the Downtown Development Board and succeeding former Mayor Liz Gamache.
Yes.
And tell us about that a little bit.
Well, you know what? I'm
Maybe you haven't been there.
It's all new to me. I haven't been to my first meeting yet, and I did just receive some of the old meeting minutes that I haven't had the opportunity to read yet. So I can't really tell you much. I'd be more than happy to come back after I've.
Is that a job you applied for that?
Well, I've always wanted to. I wanted to get involved on a state level as well.
Yeah.
And so I just threw my name in the hat, and just so happens to be that I got a notice from the governor's office that they wanted to know if I would consider taking this position,
Right.
and I accepted it. So just can't wait to start. To tell you the truth.
Right. Just about out of time. Any other quick news in the town you want to impart?
No, everything's going good. We got a really busy summer. We've got a lot planned, and I only hope the weather turns so that we can,
Yes.
have some success.
Yeah, hopefully this weekend, will make folks feel a little bit better. Tim, legislature, just kind of a strange end of the session. Did they do anything that was especially harmful from your point of view, or happy to see them head up?
well, I'm always happy to see when they adjourn myself. The paper had what got accomplished, and they led with the banning of plastic bags.
Is that
I think
right?
that sort of sums it up right there. If that's the number one thing that got accomplished.
Kind of a strange end. I wasn't paying a ton of
Yeah.
attention, but of course the House adjourns and the Senate, hoping the House would jump into the $15 minimum wage, paid family leave, but maybe next year. But I suspect you weren't unhappy to see.
No, I think that all needs to be fleshed out more, and I think. I think from a Democratic perspective, I think they've got to be discouraged with the outcome of this session.
I would think so. I would think Republican Governor Phil Scott's probably feeling pretty good after that session.
Can I just plug
Very quickly,
photo contest? We started that.
Okay.
The theme of it is lakes, rivers, and waterways. Photos are starting to come in. They can be emailed to me at tsmith@stalbansvt.com, and we're going to do the same thing. We'll have a reception on July 11th, and we'll vote on them and post them in the park as well.
Very good. Very good. On that note, we'll call it a day. Thanks to St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith.
Thank you, Richard.
Bruce Cheeseman, the Vice Chair of the St. Albans Town Select Board. Thanks for your time. Thanks to my man Zach for doing all the hard work back there. And again, we're going to take July off. We'll be back here with this show on August 7th. Thanks for watching. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. See ya.